The founder of the world's largest hedge fund has liquidated all of his Chinese stocks, including in 3 of the biggest Chinese companies. His reason? China's reaction to the US-Taiwan relations seems to signal war. Taiwan and China launch opposing military exercises amid recent tensions. China is threatening Taiwan, and Taiwan is refusing to appear afraid. Putin condemned the US House Speaker's trip to Taiwan. He is now actively seeking ties with Asia, Africa, and Latin America for a new multipolar world order. After the important Beidaihe meeting in China concluded, the Chinese president and the premier separately visited different provinces. China's vice premier may be promoted next term. Extremely hot weather in Jiangsu province has boiled shrimp alive in the backseats of cars. Temperatures reached an incredible 158 degrees Fahrenheit in some areas, and 51 rivers have stopped flowing. Finally, the lockdowns in Jiangsu, China were finally lifted after citizens protested en masse in the streets. Sound of Hope interviewed one joyful man. Let's get into it. Welcome to Sound of Hope News. My name is Daniela Wolensack, and today is August 18th. Bridgewater Associates founder Ray Dalio and one of China's biggest Wall Street bulls unloaded his firm's entire stake in multiple Chinese companies. Among them are e-commerce giant Alibaba, internet technology company NetEase, and video sharing platform Bilibili. All 3 are giant multinational corporations based in China. This move is surprising because Dalio has been a staunch supporter of Beijing and the Chinese Communist Party ever since he visited China in 1984. Last year in November, his firm Bridgewater raised $1.25 billion for its 3rd investment fund in China. Dalio also sparked controversy for defending the CCP's attempts to silence Chinese tennis star Peng Shuai, likening the action to a strict parent disciplining their child. Despite all this, Bridgewater liquidated its positions in 5 major Chinese stocks. Dalio has not commented on the reason for the sell-off. Bridgewater's actions come amidst the ongoing fall in China's real estate market, sparked by developer Evergrande defaulting on its debts. This in turn is causing a slowdown in the Chinese economy. US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's recent visit to Taiwan has heightened tensions across the Taiwan Strait. Dalio stated, "What is happening now between the US and China over Taiwan is following the classic path to war." This sentiment is echoed around the world, as on August 17th, the Financial Times reported that business leaders in the US, Europe, Japan, and other countries are stepping up their plans to move out of China. On August 15th, China's Defense Ministry announced that the Chinese military will once again be undergoing joint combat exercises in the sea and airspace surrounding Taiwan. This new round of aggression is believed to be a response to U.S. Senator Ed Markey's congressional delegation's visit to Taiwan. Taiwan Central News Agency reported that Taiwan's military conducted live exercises, including jet fighters, air-to-air missiles, anti-warship drills, and more. Taiwan's Defense Ministry spokesperson Sun Lifang was quoted by the Associated Press, saying, "We strongly condemn Communist China's continuous military provocations around Taiwan's sea and air that undermine regional peace." Sun also said, "Communist China's military operations just provide us with the opportunity for combat readiness training." Taiwan's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Joanne Oh said China was using the recent visits by U.S. officials as an excuse to threaten and intimidate Taiwan into accepting what the CCP calls peaceful reunification. In the face of the CCP's aggression, the Taiwan government has put its military on alert, but downplayed the threat. Russian President Vladimir Putin accused the U.S. of a deliberate attempt to fuel the flames and stir up trouble in the Asia-Pacific by allowing House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to visit Taiwan. His remarks came on August 17th at a security conference in Moscow. Putin also commented that the visit was, quote, "not just a trip by a single irresponsible politician, but part of a purposeful, conscious U.S. strategy to destabilize and sow chaos in the region and the world." Furthermore, he called the AUKUS security pact of Australia, Britain, and the US as Western attempts to build a NATO-style bloc in the Asia-Pacific region. Putin's remarks sought to justify his war in Ukraine, as Moscow looks to build new global alliances to counter what he calls Western hegemony and neo-colonialism. Russia's invasion of Ukraine received widespread criticism from the European Union, the US, and the UN. The EU imposed several sanctions to cripple Russia's ability to finance the war. The new sanctions are unprecedented in terms of scope and coordination, and appear to be the overarching source of economic pressure on Russia. Besides economic disruptions from the war, the COVID pandemic is also creating challenges. Now, Moscow is actively courting countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America for closer trade relationships, arms sales, and a vision of a new multipolar world order. Shortly after the Beidaihe meeting in China ended, Chinese President Xi Jinping traveled to Liaoning province, while Chinese Premier Li Keqiang went to Guangdong province. This was on August 16th and 17th, respectively. The Chinese Vice Premier, Hu Chunhua, made two high-profile appearances in Beijing at the same time, which analysts say may mean Hu will be promoted to Premier next term, the second highest position in China. The high-profile meetings featured the organizing committee for the 2022 International Trade and Services Fair and a video conference on the key work of the three agricultural sectors. International trade and agriculture are weak points in China's economy. At 59 years old, the current vice premier is also the head of the Rural Work Leading Group. Editor-in-chief emeritus of Beijing Spring, Hu Ping, speculates that it is highly likely that Hu Chunhua will take over as premier of the Chinese Communist Party next term. However, the economic situation he will inherit will be worse than today's. China's economy is on a general downward spiral, and the zeroing out of the economy is causing disruptions, making it difficult for Hu to take over as premier. China continues to experience extreme hot temperatures and dry weather. The state media CCTV has issued a high-temperature warning for several days. The temperature in areas of Jiangsu province reached 158 degrees Fahrenheit as of 4 p.m. on August 15th. Drought stopped the flow of 51 rivers in Chongqing. The hot weather caused some jaw-dropping phenomenon. A resident of Xinyang, Henan province, Miss Fang, bought some live jiwei shrimps. They all died an hour later in her car, and 6 boiled in the back seat. Ms. Fang said the weather forecast was 105 degrees Fahrenheit that day, and the sweltering heat melted her hard-shell luggage in the rear compartment. Due to the hot weather, 24 reservoirs in Chongqing have dried up. The Chongqing Municipal Emergency Management Bureau said that droughts had been reported in 31 districts and counties in the city, affecting a population of more than 600,000 people and 36,700 hectares of crops. According to the China Meteorological Observatory forecast, hot temperatures will continue in Jianghuai, Jianghan, Jiangnan, Sichuan Basin, southern Shanxi, and other regions over the next 10 days. The COVID epidemic in China continues to spread. Large-scale protests broke out on August 15th in Beidaihe, Guangxi, which had been under lockdown for more than a month. According to the internet news, on August 15th, all residents of Beidaihe's isolated community rushed to the gate of the community and square, demanding the lockdown be lifted. Local epidemic prevention personnel announced nucleic acid sampling would be cancelled. They too were also tired of lockdowns and control. On the evening of the 15th, a person named Captain Ma Antang said in the group, "Remove all the checkpoints, the physical isolation items, and the personnel immediately." Another named Wei Jian, Wei Wang Yesheng, said 3 times in a row, "No sampling tomorrow in Haicheng District and Yinghai District." He also said good news will follow. On August 17th, Mr. Feng from Beidaihe City happily told Sound of Hope, "Yesterday we could go out. The market everywhere was just like New Year's. Everyone brought their cameras out." He continued, "I can't bear it anymore. It's been so long in the low-risk area. According to the State Council, the low-risk area will be unblocked within 7 days. But we have been on lockdown for 20 days. What does it mean? Locking people up. Here, there are no supplies. It is making people crazy. Thank you so much for listening to Sound of Hope News. If you like what you saw, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. See you tomorrow.